Hi, welcome to the Recovery Daily Podcast. I'm your host, Rachel Abbasi. I'm a grateful recovering alcoholic and stroke survivor. And today I want to talk about training your mind, choosing your thoughts. And if you're anything like me, I feel like my thoughts are this uncontrollable force inside my head. That's how it used to feel. And as I have gone through the steps and continue to practice them in all my affairs, at least I try, I have started to find that there is freedom to choose our thoughts within all of the chaos in our lives and all the things that we can't control, people, places, and things around us. We can choose how we react, how we respond, how we pause. Well, our thoughts are just a part of that process. And it takes time and practice and lots of pausing, but it can really make all the difference in our serenity and managing stress, managing bouts of depression. And I think sitting in uncertainty, which I've been doing a lot over the past 3 years in stroke recovery, particularly the last year as I've chosen to prioritize my health and prioritize my recovery. That means I have prioritized doctor's appointments and therapy and seeking a solution, whatever that might look like. It doesn't seem to be that the solution is that I will make a full recovery, but the solution is, where am I comfortable living? And there's a lot of thoughts, a lot of like, I'll go from one spectrum to the other as far as just being like, am I comfortable or can I accept living a life where I'll never drive again, living a life where I'll never run again? Or am I going to fight it? Am I going to get angry and fight it? Am I going to be patient and fight it? Am I just going to live the rest of my life going to therapy every week and trying to make small progress and still maybe never drive again? My point is, it's just like there's so much uncertainty and chaos in my thinking today, as really it's a different topic, but it's just as chaotic, I think, as when I was navigating my early sobriety as well. So the good news is that I have found um, freedom from that feeling like my thoughts are controlling me. But, and I found that in the steps, in going to meetings and by listening to other people, by talking to somebody about what I'm thinking. That's when I am starting to find like patience. And just because I'm thinking something doesn't mean that I have to act on it. So all of that kind of stuff. One thing that I keep hearing in sobriety these days, and I didn't hear this early on unless I was just too not present in early sobriety, but they say once a cucumber becomes a pickle, it cannot go back to being a cucumber. And that's the same idea with once an alcoholic, always an alcoholic. Like, I've heard this phrase, and it it captures my thinking problem. Um, the stinking thinking that they say, alcoholic thinking doesn't just disappear when we stop drinking. That tendency to obsess that I hear other people talking about, manifesting like stories, worries, repeated ideas about things that could go wrong, but they haven't yet, and trying to think through like every solution to a problem that hasn't even happened. Um, and then daydreaming, but I don't mean daydreaming in a positive way, but these overwhelming thoughts that feel just completely uncontrollable. Even though they're inside our two ears, it feels like I have no say as to what's going on in there. I don't get to choose what I'm going to worry about today. But as I continue to practice my program, I'm understanding that I do get to choose what I'm going to worry about today and what I'm not going to worry about today. And I do that through what can I control and what can I not control? The serenity prayer. Grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Repeating that, and I mentioned that the other day, I don't know if that was yesterday or the day before, repeating that over and over again over my sobriety, that's what trains my thinking, really, along with meditation and mindfulness and all the things that we talk about in this podcast. But it gets my mind that is constantly racing to slow down, to pull over for a pit stop. Um, and and I know that I'm capable of doing that, but I have to do this thing that I've heard about on the Calm app, which is finding a home base. And one of the most important tools I've learned from the Calm app is this concept of choosing a home base. So having a place that's comfortable, just like a home for our bodies, having a home for my mind. Where can my thoughts go if they're running away with me, if my thoughts are just going crazy, and I need to reel them into one place that calms them and makes me feel calm. And so like when your mind starts spiraling into negativity and stress, having this home base is like a thought or a sensation that you can return to that can help ground you. It's like bringing your brain back or your mind back to where your feet are and where your breath is. And what I have found in my environment that I'm in right now, because I'm home all the time, is my English bulldog snoring. And I shared that in a meeting this morning, and a guy said that that was genius. But for me, my Boris is his name. Boris is always sleeping and is always snoring. So even if he's not sleeping, sorry, my nose is running. I hope I'm not getting sick. I think I just have allergies today, but um, even if he's not sleeping, he still breathes really loud. So it's like this really calming sound that that I can go back to no matter where I am in the house, because he's always right beside me. So it's like this constant background presence that pulls me back to the present moment. And somebody mentioned this morning, and I thought this is so true. He said that stillness is always there. Stillness is always there. If we can find a place where there is actual, absolute silence around us, we can hear it, the stillness and the silence. But it's very few and far between, it seems, that we can find a place like that. Like now that I'm empty nesting and like right now the dogs are in their crates for bedtime and there is not a single noise outside or in the house. And at times like that, I like to actually sit and listen to it because it reminds me that my mind, my thinking is the loudest thing in the room most times. That uncontrollable, um, it almost feels like echoing. It feels like shouting sometimes when, depending on what kind of stress I'm dealing with, or if it's depression, um, my mind can actually get really, really loud when in actuality, it is silent around me. Sometimes my mind is screaming with worries and fears. But if I can remind myself, and that's what my dog snoring reminds me, is that if I get quiet, that's the only thing I can hear is his snoring. So when I wake up in the morning, I am most likely thinking about how bad my head hurts when I wake up in the morning and how frustrated I am that I wake up with this feeling like it's a hangover. I'm a sober, I've been sober for 8 years, and now I get to wake up with a feeling of a hangover because of my stroke. It just doesn't seem fair. But then I hear my dog snoring, and it never fails in the morning. My dogs make me smile. Even if it's just that snoring, or when I take them out of their crates and my Weimaraner like stretches and, like smothers her face into me, those little pieces of, I don't know, they're gifts for me. They again pull me back to where my feet are. And I recognize that I don't have to let those thoughts take me somewhere else. I can stay right where I am. And the only thing that's happening right now is I woke up and I get to pet my dogs. And then we're going to go outside for poo-poos and potties, and they're going to have breakfast. And then I go to my AA meeting. And it's significant. It's a significant change in mindset from the moment I open my eyes to the moment that they are out of their crate and we're headed downstairs to go outside. There's an immense like shift that happens because when I'm stuck with myself, I get loud with worries and fears and frustrations. But when I have some sort of home base and my dogs are that for me, I can quiet that and I can be present again, and it's grounding. So pets definitely have an incredible ability to bring us back to the moment, turn off our overthinking minds, whether it's a dog, a cat. I used to have a ferret named Sweetie, and that little ferret was so cute. Yes, it was stinky, but it was so cute. And I would just go in there once a day and spend some time with it. I would let it out of its crate and it would just kind of run around in the room. And I had these little itty bitty tiny balls, and I would throw it. They were like pom pom balls, like with that you would do crafts with. and I would throw it across the room, and Sweetie would go run and grab it and bring it back to me. And no matter how bad I felt that day, Sweetie always made me smile too. They are some sort of like reminder that life is a lot simpler than what my brain makes it be. My mind tries to interrupt that stillness and that quiet. And when I'm with my pets, I get a moment of connection and calm, and it's invaluable. And it teaches me that I have the power to shift as easily as reaching over and touching my dog and feeling the warmth. If my Weimaraner loves to come lay across my lap, which I love. I didn't even know that about Weimaraners until after I got her. And I'm like, oh, thank God I got a cuddler. But they're all cuddlers, Weimaraners. So if you can get them to slow down, then they will cuddle. But as soon as she lays across my lap, there's just this calm. It just brings me back to the present moment. And there is this serene feeling, no matter how chaotic my head is. And I think that's why. And I was in my stroke support group on Tuesday, and there was somebody representing the stroke department at Inova, and she asked if any of us would have been interested in having dogs visit us when we were in the hospital. And I was like, yes, absolutely. Because there's so much fear and uncertainty happening after you have a stroke. Absolutely. It's just like a gift of calmness and being able to simplify something in your environment that's very chaotic and uncertain at the time. And so I was thinking about my alcoholism. The reason why I just sighed was because I had a dog when I was actively drinking, and it just crossed my mind how I loved having her with me, and she saw the worst of me, that dog. And I've talked about her before here, but she just crossed my mind, and I was thinking, oh, I wish that I had her here during this so many years of sobriety that I have. She was my best friend when I was drinking. She had a lot of sad Rachel. But she was still sweet. Anyway, it made me sigh. So when I was drinking, I felt like I didn't have the freedom to choose my thoughts. My mind was just a prisoner to my disease, and it was constantly fixated on the next drink. And today I have the power to make choices. I can choose whether I'm going to think about something that makes me sad or think about something that makes me happy. And coincidentally, today I was thinking about something sad. Um, I was thinking about somebody who had passed from our disease. And then I started thinking about when my kids were younger, and it spiraled. That's what it does. It starts to spiral. And I got myself into this feeling of missing my kids and missing when they were little. And then it became a feeling of desperation. That's how much it spiraled. And this was just when I was laying down for a nap. And I got to the point where I said to myself, not out loud, but I said to myself, you don't have to think about that anymore. And I just picked something else to think about, something that made me happy. And what makes me happy is that we got a confirmation that we can start demoing our deck next week. We're getting a new deck over the next couple of weeks. So that's what I started thinking about. And it's not always that easy, but over time, as you practice, it does become a lot easier to make those choices. And it has taken a lot of therapy for me to be able to acknowledge what a thought is making me feel like and choosing, I don't want to feel like this. I'm going to choose a different thought. And I've talked about quite a few times about if it's something that needs to be processed, then we need to allot time to process it, even if it doesn't feel good, and then time box that, and then decide, okay, I'm done thinking about that. Now I'm going to choose a happier thought, and I'm going to leave this to lie for a while. Um, and that's something that my psychiatrist told me about. And she said, when you are thinking about something that makes you sad, something that you actually need to process, um, sit down, allot that time, take that time, don't do anything else, but sit down and process it. Sit down and think about whatever that thing is that makes you sad, write about it, talk to somebody about it, whatever you need to do to process it, but take time to do it. Again, time box it, make a decision of when you're going to stop thinking about it and move on. And when you do, get up from the spot that you were sitting in where you were processing that emotion and uh, engage in something that makes you happy in order to help shift that mind thought and that mindset. And that really has been helpful for me. So, because what I was doing before I was talking to the psychiatrist was I was like, nope, I'm not going to think about that. I choose happy, and I talked to you guys about that. Like, I'm going to just choose happy. I'm not going to think about that other stuff. And she said, yeah, but you need to process the stuff. You can't just constantly be choosing happy because that stuff needs to be processed. You have to do something about it. So that made a lot of sense to me. And the fact that she stressed moving our bodies, putting our body in a different place to think about and process negative emotions, and then to switch our environment in order to leave those emotions back where they were and choose to like move on and uplift yourself a little bit. So it's a freedom that I have today that I had no idea that I had the freedom to do it. And, all the sobriety and AA meetings in the world didn't bring me to understand that I can't just choose happy all the time. I need to process the emotions too. So I think that that's important to add in here. So as we go through our days, try to remember that you have the choice to think about what you want to think about. You can train your mind to focus on, as much as you focus on being mindful and present, sometimes you need to choose to think about something that's maybe not in your present environment, but you need to think about something else. So set aside time to think about it. But it's like I'll show those thoughts. I choose whether I'm gonna think about you or not. It's not, you don't have control over me. I'm choosing what we're doing up there between my ears. And it's amazing because I just never thought you could do that. I thought that I was just um a victim of my brain. But I can train my mind to think about the present. I can train my mind to think about the positive. I can train my mind to think about things that bring me peace. And I can train my mind to time box when I want to think about something that needs to be processed that doesn't feel good, that's sad, and I can choose how I want to do it. I have that control. It doesn't have to control me. And remember to try to think of a home base that works for you. So if it's your pet snoring, or just, feeling your feet on the ground. Some people, back in the day, before I even got sober, I heard somebody say something about taking your socks off and going and standing in the grass. And just that feeling of being connected to the earth is kind of a powerful sensation. Um, so yeah, so that's what I've got. I love how I never have like a impactful ending, but you love it. I know you do. So anyway, I think that that's all I have, and I'm totally at a loss for words. So thanks for listening to the Recovery Daily podcast. I will talk to you tomorrow.